Once upon a time, in a distant land, there was a village at the foot of the mountains. In that village lived a young man known for his impatience. The young man had big dreams in his heart: to be successful, to be knowledgeable, to be applauded. But he always wanted things to happen quickly. He would start a task, grow tired quickly. He would open a book, put it down after a few pages. He would exercise, give up when he didn't become strong immediately. The more he focused on results, the more he felt drained and unsuccessful. One day in the village square, he encountered an old sage with a beard that reached his chest. The sage smiled when he saw the anxiety on his face. "Son, there is anxiety in your eyes. Why are you so anxious?" The young man poured out his heart. "No matter what I do, I want immediate results. But it doesn't work. It's as if I'm always inadequate. I try, but nothing changes." The sage shook his head silently. Then he tapped his staff on the ground and called the young man over. "Come, I will show you something." He took him to the slope of a mountain outside the village. There stood a huge plane tree reaching toward the sky. "Do you see this plane tree?" the sage asked. "I see it," the young man replied. "I planted it when it was a sapling. I waited years for it to grow. I wanted it to reach the sky and bear fruit. But none of my wishes, none of my impatience could speed it up. I was focused on the result. I wanted it to grow immediately. That day, the plane tree taught me this: if you rush for the result, you miss the beauty of the process." The young man fell silent. The wise man placed his hand on the ground. "Son, your eyes are always on the sky. You're always trying to see the peak, but you don't see the roots. Remember, if the roots are strong, the trunk will rise on its own." These words sank into the young man's heart. From that day on, he began to look at life differently. He wanted to learn to love not just the results, but the process itself. He read a book not just for its final page, but cherishing every line. He ran not just for the finish line, but listening to his breath. And one day he realized that the journey itself was more valuable than the destination. And as the days passed, he made small ticks in his notebook. "I did it today. I made progress today." Even if the result didn't come, he enjoyed the process. Over time, change began. He made mistakes, fell, got up, sometimes moved very slowly. But he now knew that speed wasn't important. What mattered was to keep walking. And every small step he took was transforming him without him even noticing. Years passed. The young man matured. People were now talking about his achievements, but he knew another truth in his heart. True happiness wasn't in the results. It was in the journey he lived every day. One day, sitting under the oak tree, he said to himself, "People see the fruits today, but what made me who I am was that journey where the roots patiently reached into the soil. Results come and go, but the process, like the roots, is permanent." And in the village, the wise man's words began to spread from mouth to mouth. Focus on the process, not the results. Because a tree stands not by its fruit, but by its roots.